Once you get away from the populated coastal areas, you'll discover the vast desert areas of Southern California. One example is Afton Canyon, where the underground Mojave River comes to the surface to support increased vegetation and to provide water for wildlife. Normally, this looks like a peaceful scene, but at times this canyon has been swept through by roaring flash floods that destroyed most everything in its path. The Union Pacific's LA and Salt Lake Railroad learned this after it laid tracks through here. East of Afton Canyon, the tracks run to Kelso, California. On the way, the tracks go through Crucero, the crossing, where the long-defunct Tonopah and Tidewater Railroad once crossed the Union Pacific tracks. The trees here are tamarisk trees, imported to keep blowing sand from burying the tracks. If you look at this area in Google Earth, you can see the faint scar on the desert where the tracks once passed over the desert floor from Ludlow to Baker, California. Further east from Crucero, the remnants of a homestead are a reminder of how difficult life can be here. Somebody, decades ago, put a lot of work into this place. It might seem heat stroke crazy to try ranching out here, and yet there are still rotting remains of cattle pens once used for loading cattle onto railroad cars for shipment to packing plants. Somehow it worked for a while at least. "31 miles from Crucero is Kelso, California. This spot in the middle of nowhere once supported a railroad town. This general store and former post office is a reminder. Maybe that building boom sweeping across the desert will find its way here in the far-off future. This little store will have to hope and wait a while longer." The railroad operated the station here, where you could actually buy tickets. It mostly supported a local yard for crew changes, helper locomotives, and maintenance workers. Well water was in good supply here. In these 1995 scenes, the station was closed. By 2005, the station was preserved and opened as a visitor center. About 20 miles east up on Sema Hill, we find Joshua trees and grazing cattle. This was back in 1995 also. This is part of the Mojave National Preserve. Down on the other side of Sema Hill is Nipton, California. There's a nice rustic hotel called the Nipton Hotel, with a general store for explorers and desert enthusiasts looking for comfort and supplies. You can see it on Nipton.com. This is near Ivanpah, California, off of the Ivanpah Road. Up in these hills you can find remnants of cattle ranching and mining for precious metals. You'll need something along these lines to go off the pavement. This old car probably has an interesting story behind it that has been lost for all times. Now it's just for target practice. This desert tortoise was probably around when this car was still running. With luck, they can outlive most people, even out here. Mining used to be the main attraction up here, with prices of gold and silver climbing. These digs may be opened again someday. Most people going from LA to Las Vegas prefer to take the I-15 to get the drive over as quickly as possible. They are missing a lot to gain a little extra time. The beauty of this area still brings hikers and photographers. They're willing to cope with the snakes, the heat, and the risk of getting lost. We took Ivanpah Road that eventually runs into Landfair Road that continues to Goffs, California. That was on the historic Route 66. It's a long drive. The Santa Fe tracks follow Route 66 back to Barstow. Following Goffs roads to Route 66 brings us to Danby, California. Off the Route 66 it was a long gravel road down to the crossing at the tracks. The mountain in the background is the Old Woman Mountain, named by indigenous people long ago. Up there they have found rock paintings. This is from the other side of the tracks with the Clipper Mountains in the distance. Don't expect anything but a ghost town here. Back in 1995, we explored some structures that were associated with mining. If you like deserts mixed with trains, the old Route 66 is a good way to see both.